When am I getting married? Yeah, ne? Good question. Hi there, Laylow here with part 2 of the questions and answers. Once again, thank you for those who have subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to do so. Do enjoy the video. My faith walk started when I had a personal encounter with God. More on that in another video, because that's like a whole story on its own. We'll do like a story time on a Friday or something. But yeah, it was a personal encounter with God where I had a conversation. Well, it wasn't necessarily a conversation, but it was more God speaking and me just listening, because I was marveled at the fact that there's another voice in my head and it's not mine. So yeah, that's where it started. And then when I came out of that trance, or so to call it, the only question I had was, who is this God that I've been, because up until that point I've been taught about God. They've been telling me he's this majestic creator of all existence. And until I had a personal encounter with him, I never really had a question of, okay, so who really is he, until that point. Then I was like, okay, I really need to find out who this person is. So from then on, I've just been trying to answer the question of, who is God and what does he want from me? If I remember correctly, Genesis 2:10 to 15. I'm not sure where exactly the explanation starts, but if I'm not mistaken, that's where the Bible starts explaining about 4 riverheads that were in the Garden of Eden. Okay, there's a lot of lessons behind that. So we'll have to do like a Bible studies session on a Monday, perhaps, to go into detail of what those lessons are exactly. The summary of it is that there's 4 riverheads in the Garden of Eden. Each riverhead has a name, and each name resembles a purpose of that riverhead. And the purpose of those riverheads tie into the purpose that God gave man, which is to multiply and dominate the earth. Good question. Because a lot of people believe Bible school is only for those who want to become pastors and stuff like that. I believe it is. I believe it's necessary for every Christian, because for you to interpret the Bible, you need to understand who wrote that part of scripture, why they wrote it, and under what circumstances, including also who they wrote it to. And with that, you'd be able to understand what the Bible is trying to say at that point and how does it apply to today's situation. So yes, it's necessary, because in Bible school you get taught those backgrounds in terms of when was it written, who wrote it, and what language it was written in, so that you understand the specific words that were used. Because remember, language is also in culture. So they also teach you the culture of the people that wrote the original copy of the Bible. So yeah, it's necessary. It's necessary for the sake of understanding what the Bible is trying to say. I'm a bit in between, because you do get pastors who they're doing the best they can to lead their churches the right way. But then you get those who exploit these people. They take advantage of the fact that they have so many followers. And because of that, they then alter certain Christian beliefs so that people are indoctrinated to stay under that situation where they're being taken advantage of. So in that case, I don't agree with them doing that. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to account for that. Because remember, these are not people that you, as a pastor, these are not people that you have collected so that they follow you. No, these are the people that God gave you to lead. So if you as a custodian fail to lead the way God wants you to lead these people, you have to answer to God at some point. So yeah, it's not about me. So it's not about how I feel. It's just a matter of I can see there's certain pastors that are doing things the wrong way, and part of me feels like at some point you're gonna have to answer for that. So yes, I'm in between in terms of I take my hat off for those who are leading churches the right way, but also I speak against those that don't. Doctrine. Yeah, doctrine. Doctrine is a very powerful thing because doctrine can teach a person how to live for the rest of their lives. So what certain pastors do, or rather these pastors that exploit people, what they do is they build a doctrine around them exploiting these people and then teaching them that no, it's not what you think it is, it's actually okay. That's where you have pastors, because there's a pastor I heard who said the reason why he bought a bigger building was because God gave him the conviction that he needs to talk to the congregation that they must give him money so that he can buy a bigger building. To me, that's exploitation. But to the people that were listening, that were in that church, that was, yes, that's what God said, because they were indoctrinated to believe that what the pastor said is what God said. So doctrine can lead a lot of people to being exploited without them knowing. Only those that are outside that doctrine can see, right, it's not working. So yeah, doctrine is what's blinding people. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying when misused, it can be bad. I don't think there's that one sign that tells you that you're ready for marriage. I don't see myself getting married until I am financially stable enough to be able to support a family. I know there's many people that they don't mind getting married even though their finances are not necessarily up to the standard they want it to be. We all have personal goals in terms of relationships. So it goes with what your goals are for that relationship. And depending on that, then you'll be able to determine whether you're ready for marriage or not. So yeah, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer for this. It's more of what are you aiming for relationship-wise? And at what point do you feel like it'll be okay for you to have another person that you have to care for as well? Because remember, marriage is you taking your background and the world you come from to go live with another person who has another background and another world they come from, which now means two worlds are coming to live under one roof. So you ask yourself, according to your plans in terms of your plans and goals in terms of relationships, where does that then fit in? So yeah, it goes with your plans. I would say brains. If you asked me this a few years ago, okay, not even a few, like let's say 6-7 years ago, I would have easily said beauty, because that's what mattered back then. But right now, imagine coming up to a girl and the first thing she says to you is, "Hi, my name is," or not even a girl, a guy, and "Hi, my name is." We can't. Or when you ask her about what's happening right now, for example, when do you suspect the lockdown will be lifted? And then she says, "I don't know, it's late." Yeah, we can't. I'm a reader. I need someone who can engage me in that level, or at least show some sort of emotional intelligence. I don't want someone who's gonna try relive what they saw in a movie in their relationship. Movie advices don't work. I need someone who knows that. And for you to know that, you need to be a thinker. So brains, yes, brains, definitely brains. How do I answer this without trying to seem... Because the question almost seems like you're trying to validate why women should get paid equal pay. I'm not necessarily for the whole idea of women shouldn't be paid equal or whatever the case that may be. But I'm more for the idea of get paid what you get paid your worth. Basically, the amount of work you put in, that's how much they should pay you, regardless of whether you're a woman or a man. Because a trend I've been noticing is that men feel threatened that women are going to get paid more than them. That's the bad side on men. And the bad side on women is that they want to sweet talk their way to the top. So hence I say, get paid what your worth is. Like, for example, with me, I can't complain that Vusi Tembekwayo earns millions a year and I don't earn that much. Question is, am I doing what Vusi Tembekwayo is doing for him to earn that much? Same thing with women. If you want to be paid as much as a man, are you doing what that man is doing to get paid that much? I mean, I know a whole lot of women that get paid possibly the amount I make in a year, they get paid that in a month or a week. So my question is, am I doing the same thing that they're doing to be able to get paid that much? So yeah, get paid what you're worth, paid what you're doing. If you are a graphic designer, don't expect people to pay you the price of a doctor. You're not a doctor. If you want to get paid the price of a doctor, go into medicine. Get paid for being a doctor. Don't get paid because you're complaining that doctors are getting paid so much. Yeah, so it's a thing of, are you doing the work that you feel earns that payment? Both men and women. I would say the lack of understanding. Because you have the parent who they have an idea of how the child will become successful in life based on what they've tried in their lives or what they've seen in their eras. And then you have a child who wants the parent to understand why they do what they do. So in a sense, you get two different worlds, two different eras, and one is not willing to understand the other, one is not willing to listen to the other. So that kind of causes a rift between the two, I would say. So if they both understood each other to a certain extent, if the parent could understand why the child does certain things, and if the child could understand why parents try to lead them in certain ways, I believe there'd be more of an intimate relationship between the parents and the children. Because right now it's just a matter of I know what's right for me, or I know what I think is right, and that's what I want you to understand. There's no trying to understand what you think is right. The biggest lesson would be that our jobs were keeping us so busy that we've become ignorant. Because a lot of the things that we think are surfacing now are actually things that have been happening for many years. For example, the whole gender-based violence thing is not something that's starting now. It's something that's been in the cycle for at least 50 or so years. We are only starting to notice it now because everyone is sitting at home with a screen in front of their faces, and now they're starting to see the world for what it really is, instead of only what the news showed them at 7 o'clock every day. I mean, imagine you're trying to scope the world or what's happening in the world for 30 minutes every day. You're not going to get everything. So once you're sitting at home and actually starting to see these things happen, you then start to realize the extent of how dark the world we live in really is. So yeah, I'd say our jobs have been keeping us ignorant. Now, I'm not trying to downplay that people have lost their jobs in this pandemic. I'm not trying to downplay that a lot of companies have lost a lot of money. But the biggest thing that I've noticed is that due to people sitting at home in front of computer screens or phone screens, they're starting to notice that there's a lot of things happening in the world and a lot of things that are actually wrong with this world. So yes, that's the biggest lesson I've learned. How can I best answer that? If you remember how I answered the question, I think there was someone that asked me, what is the biggest sign of being ready for marriage? And I told you guys it was based on your on your goals, relationship goals. My relationship goal is that when I have a child, I will be able to give them all my time, meaning I won't be having to rush to the office because my boss wants me to meet a certain deadline. I won't have to now travel and leave my children and wife behind. My goal is to get to a point where when I have kids, they can have as much time with me as possible. So I will get married once I feel like I'm in the financial standpoint to get married, which would then lead to the financial standpoint for me to be able to say, okay, now I can have kids. Until that happens, yeah, no marriage. But hey, I'm in the process of that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, would you be so kind and click on the like button? And as always, your time and attention is greatly appreciated. Until the next one, love and peace.